A very good afternoon to you, our cherished listeners. Once again, it's the 11th of September 2019. A few more months to the end of the year. This is indeed the 9th month of the year. And like we always say here on the show, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to start? What endeavor have you planned? I know that at the beginning of the year, January, you put down a few things. You said these were my New Year's resolutions, and this is what I wanted to do. We're way down through the year, almost at the end of the year. But like we always say here on the show, it's never too late to start, never too late to start. Like a certain very popular brand of manufacturing says, just do it. Just do it. Our prayer, as has always been on the show, is that God bless our homeland, Ghana, and definitely make our nation great and strong. And on that note, we bring you today's edition of Masterclass, your favorite business development program on radio. Masterclass is powered by Joy Business and brought to you by GOIL. GOIL, they say good energy. GOIL, Yenara, Yendia. We bring you Masterclass today and every Wednesday, and it starts at 1:15 p.m., runs all the way through to 2 p.m. here on your superstation Joy 99.7. My name, as always, is Yabanafo, and I am your host for the show. Indeed, I'm excited to be back here on Masterclass. I haven't been around for a few days, but I must say a very big thank you to my big brother, Norvan Akwaheford. Norvan, if you're listening, good afternoon to you, and thank you so much. He did a wonderful job holding the fort while I was away, and I've actually rehearsed this, Norvan. I hope I say it right. I'm going to say God bless you in Ewe, and I suppose it goes like this, Maune Rao. Okay, I hope I've said it right. And so we're going to go straight on to today's discussion. We've been spending time in the last couple of weeks talking about procurement. Like we always say here on the show, everything we discuss, everything we talk about here on Masterclass is for you, our entrepreneurs, for you, our business people. Want to be able to discuss the issues that plague you when you're doing your business, when you started something, when you've gone for money from the bank, you want to set up something for yourself. What are the things that you deal with every day? What are the everyday issues that plague you? And so when we talked about procurement, we're looking at the section of entrepreneurs who have supply businesses. What is supply business? Anything that you can supply. People tender, public procurement. The police service wants to buy computers. They put it out. Somebody wants to buy chairs. Somebody wants to buy fertilizer. All of that is put out, and we had an awesome time in the studio spending time with the CEO of the PPA. We're moving straight into another area of our discussion today, and it's on a rather intangible or sensitive area of business culture. I say intangible because you can't touch it, okay, but it's there. What is business culture? You hear all of these things. People throw theories around, the culture of the business, the way you smile, the way you talk to people, the way you attend to your customers. What distinguishes you from the next person? So let's say you're a tomato seller and you're the biggest tomato seller in Dansoman. But what makes you different from the next person who's just down the road? These are the things that we're going to be looking at in our discussion over the next couple of weeks, 3 weeks, I think it is. And we'll be doing that with another very wonderful person. I always call my resource persons wonderful because when they come into the studio, they share with us and they empty themselves here so that our entrepreneurs and our listeners can become better for it. This one is special, and she is also the managing partner for a company called 565. Don't ask me what that means. She'll be telling us about 565 in a bit. But yes, she is the managing partner of 565, and she has been spending time helping companies like you, like me, to set up our businesses and to understand the role of culture. What is it about the culture that helps your business to grow? At the end of the day, it's supposed to add to your finances and all of that. And she is in the person of Mami Ikua Gezi. Mami Ikua, you're welcome to the show. I can call you Mami, right? Yes. Okay, all right. So you are welcome to the show indeed. We'll be spending some time with you today talking about business culture. I suppose that we've got a discussion set up for 3 weeks, isn't it?
Yes.
So today we'll be talking about your vision, your mission, the strategy of a business. We're talking about feeding the business culture and understanding what this whole discussion, on business culture is. Preparing for this show, I did a bit of research.
Nice.
I'll share that with you, and then we'll allow you to go, and then you can talk to us for a few minutes.
Sure.
But I found this interesting quotation by Brian Walker. Brian Walker is a partner and managing director of a company called IDEO. And he says, culture is like the wind. Mm. It's invincible, but its effect can be felt. Yeah. This culture is like the wind. It's invincible, yet its effect cannot be seen, but it can be felt. Mm. Monique Winston is also the CEO of Optimal Lending Service in the United States. And she says, if you do not develop your corporate culture, it will develop itself. Mm-hmm. Corporate culture does not happen by accident. No. And if and when it does, you are taking a risk. Right. So this is just a sort of preamble to our discussion. What is this whole thing about corporate culture? Before we do that, though, I always like for my listeners to be able to connect to my resource persons in the studio. So, just very briefly, who's Mami Ekwagezi? Let's start with, what school did you go to?
I went to the University of Ghana.
Okay, before that?
I went to Fijai Secondary School.
Okay, so all the Fijai Secondary School students,
Young
your girl is in the
forever.
studio. Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Let's talk football. I don't know why I'm talking football, but I'm being biased.
Scary.
Okay, but what's your local team? Football, best team, local?
Hazakis.
Hazakis.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. I thought you were going to say Hearts of Oak.
No, my husband's is.
Okay, right. And then international? EPL?
Anywhere Messi's playing.
Oh my God.
For now is Massa.
Okay, then that's one for you.
Yes.
Okay. Anywhere Messi's playing. Music. Talk to me about music. What kind of music do you like?
I love Sinach any day.
Okay.
Any day, any time. And I can listen to her all day.
Okay, so I'm going to play something for you by Sinach. When we come back, then we continue with our discussions. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
You are here. 99.7. Super Hits Radio. Joy 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 99.7.
Okay,
Thank
right.
you.
Time check in the studio, 26 minutes past the hour of 1, and this is Masterclass. If you want to send us a comment while we're having our discussions, you can do that on 0244 340 437. At some point in the show, we will be opening the phone line so that we can have a conversation with you. But if you've just tuned in, today's discussion on Masterclass essentially is on the topic of business culture. Business culture. What is business culture? You hear companies say, ABC company, we love you to the max. XYZ, I'm not doing an advert for anybody. XYZ company, just do it. What 123 company, we serve the best chicken or something like that. What is business culture, Mami? Talk to us.
Right. So before then, I love stories. I don't know if you do.
I love stories.
Okay.
Too, yeah.
So I'm going to share a story with you. My business partner is Catherine Engman, and she and I do work together. So there was this day where we were working from her home, and I love my tea. And usually my tea without cream nor sugar. So on this particular day, I wanted a full Ghanaian tea with milk, no sugar though. Catherine goes to her kitchen to fix me a cup of tea and puts in the milk without asking. She remembers that, oh, mommy doesn't like milk, and she just drains it straight into the sink.
Wow.
Right after that, I walk in to tell her, oh, Catherine, today I'd like some cream with my tea. And she doesn't say anything, fixes me another cup, puts in some milk, and gives it to me. And as I drank the second cup of tea, she now tells me, you know, I actually made you tea today with milk first. I was like, okay. So
something told her to do that.
Yeah, but there's an interesting twist to this when we look at it from culture.
Talk to me.
Organizations or businesses tend to think that they know and understand the needs of their people because they have been told before. So what happened is you assume that people's preferences for yesterday will be the same as they are today. And we forget that change is quick now. It is the only constant in our business. It is swifter. It is in many more folds because we are not necessarily working yesterday today. So culture is such that it requires constant check-ins with our stakeholders. And with our stakeholders, I mean our clients or our customer base, with our employees, with our boards, with the society in which we are operating, to understand the needs of these people. And now diversity is even making it even more serious because now there is a gender angle to the needs. There are generational mixes. You will have religious needs for people. You see, if Catherine had informed me that she actually drained the first cup of tea before fixing me the second one, I'd have asked her not to put in the milk because in my mind it's going to be a waste of resources. It's going to, be more time. And so that is what your employees do. When you offer them things you assumed they liked yesterday, today, they sometimes just take it, not because they love it, but because they're thinking maybe it's too much. But that is the point engagement is broken.
So then the originality of the process is broken.
Yes, because now I don't need that today. I needed that yesterday, but that's not exactly what I need today. So it actually takes away the engagement and the actual satisfaction of the need. And the truth is, I would have drunk the black tea with so much dissatisfaction. So this is culture. This is how I want our listeners, our entrepreneurs and business leaders to picture culture. It is a constant change. It hinges on the needs and the values of your people today, not from the needs yesterday. Do not assume that you know them and do things from your presumptions. Always ask, because culture is a constant change.
Just to buttress that point quickly before you go on with the rest of the presentation. Preparing for the show, I picked up a definition on Wikipedia, and this is what it says. It says, culture is an evolving set, emphasis on evolving set of collective beliefs, values, and attitudes. So you're right there. I mean, it's evolving, it's dynamic, it's fluid, it's changing by the minute.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I just thought I'd chip that in.
Yeah. And right on that is when Peter Drucker tells us, you know what? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. This, a lot of us have learned in business schools, in MBAs. And just to be clear, Drucker did not mean that strategy is less important than culture. What he actually means is that a powerful and empowering culture is a more definite route to business success. So when we are talking about our vision, our strategy, we tend to think about words. And, you walk into an organization and at the front desk, you see a lot of frames on the walls and you see things they've listed as values. You see a lot of sentences as mission and vision, and you wonder how that is actually lived by the employees or the stakeholders every day. So you see, vision is where we are going when you look at business strictly. And strategy is basically what we will do to get there. So where does culture sit in the matrix? That's the question I'd like to ask our listeners this afternoon. Culture, as you said, is made up of values, beliefs, and behaviors. And these three are what guide and define the way in which a group of people behave or act. And the culture of an organization really is is a reflection of the values, beliefs, and behaviors of its leadership. And I know that someone will try to debate this, whether it's accurate or not. We'll leave it for our listeners to judge. But the way we do things really is culture. And if culture determines what we will get, which is the strategy, which will determine how we get to our destination, which is our vision, then I'll say that people are more committed to culture than strategy. So it's very easy for an organization, be it a startup, be it an existing organization, to put its leaders or employees together to say, oh, we are having a strategy session. Then they go away, pay a lot for hotel and meeting rooms. They go and spend time. They have consultants guiding them to couch strategies for the next year or two. Now people barely do 5-year strategy because the scene is really changing very often. And they forget about the how that will be achieved. So it's basically about how we do things around here. I don't know what you learned in cultural studies when you were in basic school. What did they say is culture? Drama and dance.
No, it's interesting you ask. I have this little video on culture, but
Yeah.
essentially what I remember from my cultural studies in school is
Yes.
that culture is the way
Of the
live.
people, exactly. So it's how we behave, it's our beliefs, and it's what we bring together as a people in a workplace or anywhere. So now I want us to explore the 3 words that we've used. We have mentioned values, we have mentioned beliefs, and we have mentioned behaviors. So for the benefit of this session and over the next couple of weeks, we want to get some basics down. We will say that values is a shorthand way of describing what motivates us. So what motivates you, Nana? What motivates a business leader? What motivates Mami? Is where I'll spend my money, is on what I'll spend my time, is on what I'll draw attention to. So if I value cars, I'll buy a lot more cars if I had money. If I value houses, I'll just build and build and build. If I value time together with my family, I'll make sure that I'm saving enough to be able to pay for good vacation time. Beliefs. Our beliefs are basically the opinions, they're the principles that we hold as being true by anybody or a group of people. Then we come to behaviors. Behaviors are actually the outward manifestations of the beliefs. So how we behave, you see somebody and we say, oh, somebody's behaving quite badly. It is because this person holds certain principles and opinions and see them as their truth. So they behave in line with those beliefs. So our beliefs will basically reflect consciously or unconsciously the beliefs that we have held over time. If your belief is that employees will always be thieves, so they must be checked, you know how that goes out in your policies. If your belief is that employees will typically be independent and they'll do their work without supervision, you will also have a way of couching the culture in your organization. So when we look at culture in the light of all of this, we are basically talking about the way we say we get things done here as opposed to the way we really do get things done here. So if you can picture, as a listener, if you can just picture the iceberg, and you always know that the largest part of the iceberg is always under the surface, then the culture you should be concerned about is the bit under the surface. As for what you see, it's only the tip. And those are the goals and the visions. We set out the mission, we have our values, we have our structures, we have our employee books, we have our processes, procedures, we have our services, we know the products we are selling, we know how to behave at the front desk. But the ideas, the historical patterns, the values that the employees hold, their attitudes, their unconscious behaviors, their assumptions, their perceptions, how they're feeling leaving home and coming to work, their fears, their personality styles, the leadership styles that they will sink to, the stories they've heard about the organization or the product, the myth they hold, and the group norms that form are the things that you should be paying attention to. So you go into a certain business, you enter, you see there's a certain culture with the commercial team. That is not necessarily translated in the finance team. And you go into the investment team and it's completely different. You look at the leadership, they have a certain life. You look at those doing operations, the HR, everybody has the norm. These are what is driving your organization. They are not the framed values and mission and vision statements you have on your wall. So those are the things that we would like to focus on.
Right. So these are the invincible things, if you like.
Yes.
Right. Time check in the studio, 37 minutes past the hour of 1. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass. We'll be opening the phone lines shortly. But before that, if you have a comment, you want to send us a comment, be part of this discussion, send us a question or anything we can read when we open the phone lines, you can send that to 0244340437. That's 0244340437. In a few minutes, we will be opening the phone lines. Mami, let me ask you this question before we go to the phone lines. As a businessman, you know, and I'm just asking this. I know you haven't finished your presentation. We'll be doing that after we open the phone lines. But as a business person, as a businessman, you know, if the bulk of my company's culture is not what is seen, but what is unseen, i.e., it is what triggers the physical behavior of my staff in relating to the customers, then certainly I must understand, number one, that there is a portion of their expression which is unseen. I must be able to affect that in order to get a certain reaction. So comes my question. Where is the place of motivation, of training, of preparation of my staff in order to achieve that desirable culture, whatever it is? Assuming that, let's say I'm a fast food restaurant or I sell spare parts in Abosokai and I have a number of shops, and I want people to come and buy from me. I want to be the best, let's say, VW spare parts dealer. And I want the culture to be that people, when they come back, you know, whenever they come to me, they want to come back or they want to recommend me. And so I want my frontline staff to be nice to them. What are some of the practical things I will be looking at? And I'm just using training and motivation as a guideline. What are some of the things I'll be looking at in order to get that desired effect?
Okay, so those are the easier plugs that organizations typically run to. They think that we can just organize learning sessions. I'd like to call them learning sessions because it will be for adults, and that will do the trick. You want to start from a place of what your employees value. They will give your customers what you give to them. So gone are the days when businesses were on the mantra of the customer is always right and the customer first. How you treat your employees is how your customers get treated. So instead of rushing in to think about what kind of training I'll give to these people, I want you as the business leader to understand, what does my frontline team value? What is most important to them? What do they feel is a good recognition of their efforts? How will I be able to engage them to make them understand that I have their interests at heart, so they can take my business at heart as well and deliver in the way I'd like them to? And because we are talking about the things underneath, and remember, you are getting your sales force as adults. They've been formed over years by things you had no control over, absolutely nothing to do with them. But what you can do is to understand what they value. So if you have a sales force that values fun, and you're creating the strict, controlled, scary atmosphere at work, like you've got a stick on them, I bet you're not going to get any results. Why don't you swap the stick for a carrot and just make it a lot more fun? If I want to wear a hat with a hoodie or something, and that will make me smile to the next customer and serve the customer so the customer gives us repeat business or recommends us, why not? Why must I be in a certain suit color? Because you assume that that is a representation of your business. It's a very tricky thing, especially when you've established a business. I mean, we're talking about areas where now entrepreneurs have the liberty of getting a bit more loose. But you go into hierarchical environment. Let's use a bank. You can't just do anything in a bank because people's finances are in your hands and they want to see you and assume that you're serious and you take their investment serious. But there are ways of making sure that people have fun at work without necessarily tying them down. So my our approach really is about understanding what employees value, addressing those, and that will definitely translate into how they treat your business. You'll be amazed that if employees tell you that they value family, and you create a work environment which understands that when there's a family crisis, people have to have time off, you'll be getting so much more without asking. Rather than insisting, you've got 8 hours to give me and 40 hours per week because the labor law says so, and that's how much I'm paying for you, and you haven't done so over the past 2 weeks, so I'm taking it out of your salary. They get strict, but we are people. They find ways around that. You create a culture of fear. They see you and they say, yes, boss.
Lip
but
service.
Underneath, exactly, you do not get any value out of them. So that will be the approach I would encourage our business owners and leaders.
Right.
And remember that in our opening, we said that really the culture of an organization is a reflection of the values, the beliefs, and the behaviors of its leadership. So however you're seeing the output from your front line or your operational team, it should tell you that it's a reflection of you as a leader.
It's what you've put in that.
Exactly, that's coming out.
I'm excited about this. I'm going to take this in a different direction, but
Okay.
we want to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we go into that discussion. After the break, we'll be opening the phone lines, but before that, we take a quick break now.
The masterclass is in session, and you can interact with us via Facebook at Joy Business or at Joy 99.7 FM. And if you tweet, the handle is at Joy 997 FM. Don't forget to hashtag masterclass. You can also send us a text on 1422 across all networks, or join the WhatsApp conversation on 0244 340437, and our facilitators will address your concerns. Attention, everyone! Class is in progress.
Right, if you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass right here on your superstation Joy 99.7. So do you own any motor vehicle of any sort? If you do, then the Goyle's new super synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes are the best engine oils for your vehicle. These are specially engineered engine oils which efficiently work on all modern petrol and diesel engines. They clean, they protect, they reduce fuel consumption, they prolong oil change intervals, and they enhance your engine performance right from when you start up till when you switch off. So today, go to any Goyle filling station and grab the new Goyle Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 engine oils for superior vehicle performance. Goyle, they say good energy. Goyle, Yenara, Yendia. So I'm opening the phone lines now. Numbers to call 0302 216 541. That's 0302 216 541. You have had some form of experience managing your own business culture. How has that panned out? Share your thoughts with us. Like I always say, life is too short to make all the mistakes yourself. So let's learn from your mistakes and the things that you have done right also.
Yes.
If you've got questions for us also, we're happy to take them. But at the end of the day, we want this to be an interactive discussion that helps us at the end of the day to build our business cultures, Let me ask this question, and I was going to ask that before we went on the break, but when we talk about the culture of a business, just so people understand it, we talked about a collective set of evolving beliefs and systems and all of that. So this goes back to the owner, or the or the business owner, or the person who started the business, the founder. Now, you said something about if you don't trust people, it will show in how you deal with your people. So what would be, and I know that there are different things that form culture. So let's say if you're running a business, let's say you're selling Indomie. The product is Indomie. You want to be able to make that available to people at a certain time. You sell it in the evening because when people are done with work, they're going home, they want to buy something, go home and just have a quick meal. Okay, I've got a caller on the line. Let me take that call and then we continue that discussion. Good afternoon, you're welcome to Masterclass.
Yes, Stephen here.
Right, Stephen, talk to me. Where are you calling from, Stephen?
Marcus, welcome back.
Hey, Stephen, I've missed you, Papa.
Yeah, when you were with the PTA boss came into the studio.
Yes, I did watch that show. But Stephen, talk to me about business culture today.
I think it begins with the leadership of the organization.
Right.
And so when you have hypocrisy at the heart of ensuring that organizational culture in terms of rules are applied and firmly implemented, everybody will know that what you are saying is different from what you are doing.
That's true.
And so at the heart of organizational culture is the way leaders in organization behave, so that subordinates will follow.
That's true.
And there must be punishments for those who don't align. And there must be reward for those who follow.
Yeah.
because when one subordinate does the wrong thing and you don't correct that, the others will follow. And so it's an integral part of the business, and it's very important.
Very important. Thank you so much, Stephen. That was Stephen from Mankasim, one of our favorite callers in the show. Good afternoon again to you, Stephen. But he made a very important point, and maybe you'd like to comment on it. He says that, if there's hypocrisy, it will show.
Yes.
So, somebody once said this to me, that your actions are speaking so loudly, I can't hear what you are saying. Your actions are speaking so loudly, I cannot hear what you are saying.
Yes.
So we're talking about leadership. We're talking about management, the ownership of a business. What you want your employees to do is what you do to them.
Exactly. And what you actually exhibit. So if you're asking your employees to value the needs of clients, and you yourself are taking time off when clients' meeting are due, you do not pay attention to timelines you've promised clients for delivery. Let's talk about the Indomie story you started with. If this individual is given a certain promise of starting, if you are closing work, leaving your construction site at 5:30, and you are promised that by 6 p.m., Indomie can be ready, and today it's at 6, tomorrow it's at 6:20, the next day there isn't any consistency, and that's a very critical thing. You have had to work with some artisans who you can say, oh, his quality you cannot doubt. His delivery time, give him like plus or minus 2 more weeks. So whatever you're putting out will become the mark of your business. So as a leader of a team, the question is, if you ask the team to be austere, what do they see you do? Are you just doling out cash?
Yeah.
Exactly. If you are living large and asking the team to tighten their belts, then, like you're saying, your actions are going to be louder than your words. And a lot of times we flourish employee handbooks and policies and processes and procedures and SOPs and assume that employees would follow these. No. If you think that quality is critical to you, let it be. As a leader, if you're the head of a manufacturing line, do not, for the sake of going quickly to the market, cut corners when it comes to quality, because your employees would know that it really doesn't matter to you. And when you're not looking, they would also do the same.
I'll share this with you. I mean, I listened to a show on I think it was a multimedia on radio. I think it was Springboard or something like that. And a simple question was asked, to a number of people in society. How do you raise children? And I'm using this analogy because I'm assuming that the father is the owner or the founder
of the
home. And the children are the people who work for you, not necessarily the biologically the children. But, so the question was, how do you raise children? It says there are 3 ways to raise children. Number 1 is by example. Number 2 is by example. And number 3 is by example
again.
So I suppose, I want to take this discussion somewhere else, but I suppose we can finish this bit here and say, what you want your organization to become, be that.
Just be
that first, and then you can begin to, without even saying it.
No.
So if you want people to be punctual, be early.
There.
Don't come to work at 10 o'clock and expect them to come because you are the boss. When they see how important it is to you, then they're also going to take it important.
Yes.
They're also going to make it important to them, because where your treasure is, there your heart will also be.
Thank you.
Let's talk about bringing it down a bit. Okay, so for example, I'm going back to my examples. I'm an Indomie seller. I'm a spare part seller. I sell tomatoes in the market. Business culture, or let's say I've set up. I make shoes. I make bags. Business culture. Is my business culture affected by my financial aptitude? And I'll answer that question. For example, my ability to be responsible with cash. Can that speak to my business culture? Because sometimes people say we don't have money to start a business. We don't have money to start a business. So when you don't have money to start a business, other things you can do that can still say that as soon as his business may not be big now, but you can be sure that, let's say I bake bread, and like you said, there's always bread at 6 a.m. My not having enough money to bake 300 pieces of bread, and so for that reason baking 50 a day, does not affect my ability to make it ready at 6 a.m.
No. So
I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
So other things I can do that are not linked necessarily to my finances, because people keep giving the excuse, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough financing, I don't have funding. What else can you do to stamp and clearly demarcate your culture the culture of your business. And I dare say that if you got that right, it will translate in the end.
But Nana, my question to you is, why is finance coming in here in this discussion of culture?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
For example, there was, I think about 3 or 4 months ago, we had a discussion on, I forgot what, I think it was about marketing or branding.
Okay.
And the question was asked that, must I dilute if I'm able to make 100 pieces a day? That's what I do. It's like a Bugatti. There are only 10
made a year.
Yeah. So must I increase my quantity because people want it? So then the question about finance came in. You understand? And on some other shows, people also ask, I don't have enough money to do. I'm saying that from what you shared with us today, I'm able to deliver value to my business, not necessarily based on finance. So let's say I open at 6, even if it is 10 pieces of bread I have.
That's it.
I can be open at 6.
Consistency.
I can smile to the customer even if I don't have money.
Yes.
I can give the customer a certain assurance that as for this shop, when you come here, we have it.
At a minimum.
That's what I'm trying to drum home.
Yes.
So that it's not only about your finances.
No.
And in the end of the day, what you even realize is that if you do this thing so consistently, you use a certain word, consistency.
Yes.
So well, at some point, there's going to be a lot more references.
Exactly.
And that's going to translate into funds.
Yes. Nana, you said let's take the discussion out. I'd like us to look at this in the view of modern work.
Right.
A lot of entrepreneurs are very young people. We have a lot of millennials getting into the space of entrepreneurship. And sometimes we assume that the established 50-year-old businesses just appeared here because that's what we're born to see that it was here established in a tower and people are wearing suits entering. It didn't happen like that. People went through the phase that you're going through. They stayed the course. You want to build a culture. What do you want to be noted for?
Exactly.
That thing you want to be noted for must be there, rain or shine. So let's use customer endearment. You want your customers to feel a certain relief when they walk into your space. Like you're saying, it doesn't matter if you don't have the cash. It does not take cash for you to smile. Of course, if you have a lot more, it comes a lot easier, huh? But my point here is that if as a business leader, you cannot be consistent with something that you value, then you don't really value it. And remember that we are talking about being noted for something. And my question to the listeners is, how do you then vary or marry this with the initial sentence or the phrase that I gave about constant change? You see, if you understand your employees, and I'm drumming home on your internal customers because they will determine the culture.
Exactly.
If you determine a certain pace of your business and they understand that this is what we must deliver to the client and you're living that by example, you'll be amazed how much of it goes out. There's a certain energy that we carry as human beings, and the more of our values we see people giving to us, the more positive that energy comes and the easier it is for us to pass it on. So you get into some people's ambience, they tell you that he's got a certain feel. Whenever I'm in the hair presence, I like it. I tend to relax a lot more. Or somebody just gives you the shrills. Some people just come around you and you feel you're just scared. You just feel controlled.
I don't want to deal with this person.
Exactly. So you want to build an environment that is speaking to exactly what you want your customers to see. And if you look at how our vision and our mission and our values are couched, if we understood the way that people worked, the things they value, because we want to work from a place of building culture and values. If we understood it and built our culture around that, we'll see that's a lot easier for the people to live it. And you started by saying that today we're going to talk about something that is a bit intangible. It typically goes in the conversation as culture is that softy thing HR has to take care of. You'll be amazed, and in the coming weeks, I'll share with our listeners how we can actually measure, quantify culture of a business, measure it, and I'll show you how we are able to get it to tell you the return on your asset, the return on your investment.
Wow.
You'll be amazed how much you're losing on your productivity just because you've got a culture that is not befitting. I don't want to say wrong culture, because a culture is a culture is a culture. It is just not befitting to your business and where you are headed.
Yeah.
And it is so bad that for some businesses, they are losing as much as 50% of their productivity because of that culture. And we're in Ghana, so I'm sure that you will understand in some spaces.
I know.
You get into some spaces and, well, things can be done anyhow.
I'll share this with you very briefly. I mean, and we've got 3 minutes before the end of the show. If you want to give us a call, you can slip that call through quickly, 0302216541. But there's a story of a company that, it was like a sales company. So the salespeople were the main people going out to get business. And every morning when they would have sales meetings, the drivers would sit in those meetings. But the manager had this thing about him that involved everyone. And so he would say, even though you're not in the sales team, I mean, the task is this: bring me 10 accounts and you get this bonus, you get half day off, you get this and all of that. In that institution, because of the way he made them feel, the drivers were on occasion bringing more accounts than the salesmen. It comes back to the point that you were making about making the people understand exactly what it is you're doing. And I'd say on the back of that know your business also.
Yes.
Okay, we're running out of time. In about 10 seconds, what's a takeout from today's discussion as a platform for next week's discussion?
We want to tell people that culture is tangible. It can be measured. It is what you put in as a leader that you get out. So we want our listeners to understand that you must work at your culture. And like you're saying for the opening said, if you left it, it will develop into something that will put your business at risk.
Wow. This is an exciting discussion here on Masterclass. We've been talking about business culture. Next week, we continue with our discussion again with Mami Ikuagezi, who's the managing partner for 565. We didn't get to talk about 565 today, but I'm sure that we can get to talk about it some more next week. But next week, what are we going to be looking at next week? Just very briefly as a sneak preview.
We are going to be looking at how to measure culture.
Okay.
Yes, so we want to look
how
at
to measure culture.
Yes, we want to look at the business side of it. This is not an HR conversation. It is a business discussion.
People can't even identify it, how much we'll measure it.
So we want the CEOs to understand that we can measure culture.
Right. And then we'll also be looking at the cost of
not putting in the right inputs into your culture.
Right. Okay. Sure. This has been Masterclass Radio in the Superstation. Thank you so much for listening. We come your way same time next week with another edition of Masterclass. My name is Yabana. For up next is the news at 2. Thank you for listening and see you same time next week.
Conversational.